Okay. All right.
All right.
Welcome everybody. This is that bi-weekly psychology Zoom call we've been doing for a few weeks now. Um, it's not really much about the price action side of things. It's just more about the mental side of trading and as a community, how we can fix our barriers to actually rising to the top. So I took a I used a kind of like AI'd a little bit here and I'm gonna post this in. Wait, why is this no? Sorry about that. Let me post it in this chat. I posted in the a link here. So kind of like day trading psychology, why day traders fail according to the data. So like I had this is like the top five list. I just kind of had AI put, what because like prop firms and everywhere else, they have access to data. They see how why people blow accounts. So the top like five reasons where it seems like day traders fail is like loss aversion, the pain of realized failure, overconfidence bias, revenge trading, FOMO, and dopamine addiction. I don't know if anybody can see that list, but I know for me, I my biggest one is number three. Like I destroy myself with revenge trading. I will have a day like a week straight of good, consistent profits, and there'll be that one day, wow, blow my shit in like 1 hour, and it's gone. And then my last one would be probably like the loss aversion. It's like you get into a trade, but it seems like the loss aversion is more like, for me, you don't fully trust your edge. So you're breaking even real quick. You're trailing your profit too tight, and then it takes you out, and then it hits your take profit. So if your edge is like a 1 to 3, you could technically lose like three trades in a row before. And if you hold your trade to that 1 to 3, you're going to be at a full take profit. So what I do is I break even too early, it gets taken out. So then, or I'll hold my winners really short. So then now when I take three losses in a row, my edge is not correct, if that makes any sense. So I don't know if anyone puts in input of what, on this five list of what they suffer from when it comes to the issues.
I'll go the time that they rate it all. I won't say I'm trading for me it's gonna be the number five, I think. Um I won't say I treat it as a casino, definitely not, but I get very often trapped into getting a trade for boredom or really the dopamine addiction, like even from loss or win. It's gonna trigger something in me that's gonna want more of it, more loss or more win, right? I have this pattern in my life, this kind of like addictive personality. And so I'm not saying I'm gonna use it as a casino machine and video game, whatever. I'm taking it really seriously as a business, but I see myself very easily getting into the boredom of it, like the lack of patience and the need of activity, which would as well go with FOMO, or not really revenge trading, but FOMO, in the sense where if a move happened, I would have to work very hard on myself to not chase it because I know I can take it, wave it, ride it, and do a good trade management. But is that really a good trade? Is that in the long run going to keep me being successful? I'm not sure. So yeah, the dopamine hit for me is something very big that I have to manage.
Is it like you just feel like you have to be in the market, you need a trade, like for no reason? Like, is that how it feels for you?
Well, there's no reason, no, because my brain is very clever to trick me, so there's always a brilliant reason behind it. But is it a valid reason? I don't know. But yeah, I have this need of being involved, right?
Hmm.
If I don't trade, I will listen to podcasts, take notes, work on something next to it, read a book, because just looking at the charts and looking at each candle get me confused or get me over analyzing things, overthinking, overacting too fast rather than when I'm slightly distracted, I don't have this need of being involved,
That
which
makes
saves
sense.
my capital so much time.
It really seems like the most successful traders, they say the same thing, that trading should be boring. It's supposed to be boring. Like you make trading boring, so when you become successful in trading, your life is actually fun because you're not sitting on the charts all day and you can go and you made money and now you can go enjoy the things you like to do. You shouldn't have fun on the charts.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Like a lot of people use trading as a spending time or fixing some addiction or whatever psychological stuff. But at the end of the day, we trade for like to be able to trade 2 hours a day and exactly like you say, get the hell out. I don't know what you
100%.
Jordan think.
And for everybody, this is like an open call too, so anybody can speak up, anybody um have things that they're struggling with.
Something I just wanted to kind of add to that is I was just listening to a video by Jesse Livermore on that, and he talks about like impulses and that concept of like boring trading is good trading. And so one of my main focuses, what I realized is so I struggle with if I were to pick one on this list, I would say just revenge trading. And it used to be the impulse trading. So for a long time, my struggle actually was in order for me to feel progress or movement. And this is going to sound crazy, but like I was depressed in life if I wasn't in a challenge. Like if I didn't have an active challenge going, just to give you guys an idea of like how deep that impulse to be a participant was. Like if I blew an account, I would just be in like a pit of despair for like 3 or 4 days, and then I would buy a challenge, and then all of a sudden I would come back to life. I'm talking to friends and family again, and then it's like it was just like something that I realized about myself. And so I did spend a lot of time trying to understand myself and get to that concept of what I like to call it is just like trading the moments of clarity. And so what I started to realize for myself, because in the last 2 months I've pulled about 6.5K out of the payouts. It's the most I've ever made in the markets and on this journey, to be honest. And what I realized was it's like uh protected like we're cat like Cypress and Scalper have always told us like we're capital managers. We're here to learn how to protect our capital. We're not here to be traders. Um and so I started to meditate on what does it mean to be a capital manager. And so for me, what I realized was in order, like sometimes the best movement is like no movement at all. And so there's times in the market where you have a moment of clarity, and then you have to learn how to act without hesitation in that moment of clarity. And now it's like for me to the point where if I open the charts, I can instantly tell you, like without a doubt, like I can tell you if, okay, there's a setup for me, but then that still requires patience because once you see the setup for me, you have to wait for the confirmation. And so that's where like learning to overcome the impulse to trade just to feel like you're, and I think for most of us, it's well, for myself, it was self-sabotage, but I don't think we're doing it in a nefarious way. I think most of us we're desiring to grow. That intensity to grow, to evolve is so strong that we're used to feeling a sense of movement. And so it's actually very hard to understand that we are moving forward if we're not trading or if we're not being a participant in the trading space. And so for me, that was really like this whole meditative process of like trying to understand how to be okay with stillness, like how to open up the charts. If I identified something's there, I'm ready to take action and to respond. But if there's nothing there, and what I've realized is like as you start to learn your particular setup that you're fond of or something that you start to see is working for you, it doesn't mean that we're unprofessional or amateurs if there's a moment of confusion or like we can't discern what's going on in the charts, because I think truly what's going to make us professional disciplined traders is we don't need, it's really our ability to identify the times that there is clarity and we strike in those moments. And all the rest of the time in between is just space in between, it's noise. And we don't need to be participating every second of every day. And actually, the interesting thing is, the less that I started to trade, that was when I started to get my first payouts. So I went from trading like, I don't know, like maybe 15, 20 times a week to now it's like 1 to 4 times a week. And there was actually one week, I want to say like maybe a month ago, where I only traded one time that entire week because either due to work or external circumstances or just not understanding what was happening in that space, I was able to identify, okay, I don't have the proper clarity to act in the markets. And then for me, how I worked on that impulsive trading was just kind of understanding like each and every one of us has put in work and effort and countless hours. And I mean, just we've taken hundreds and hundreds of trades. So it's about respecting yourself and the time and the sacrifices you put into these charts. And so what I realized is for me to enter the market space without total clarity or confirmation is a way of, it's a form of self-sabotage, and I wasn't giving myself the proper respect for the time and the effort that I had put into these charts. And so that kind of helps me kind of work through that, I guess that need or that impulse to be a participant. And then you start to collect the data. So that's the important part is don't don't look so far ahead that it feels overwhelming. Just stay present, stay grounded in the moment. So there was a moment that came where eventually I had to make a decision. Do I take a trade now? Because I was aware that it would sabotage myself, or do I sit out of the markets? And then I was able to do that. I think last month I had like 45 trading days. I posted it in the institutional Discord, but I had 3 red days out of 45 trading days. And that was like the first time I ever collected the actual data that showed me what can happen if I choose to enter only with confirmations and clarity. And so there it's twofold is one, we have to, I think, learn to truly respect ourselves and to also collect the data. But we can't start collecting the data unless in that moment of being triggered, we make the right choice. And I think that's where the battle lies. Now, for myself, I had picked number three, revenge trading, because when I do have a red day, it's a tilt. And so by a tilt, I just mean that for me personally, it's an egregious amount of loss. Like it's I take a loss and then I just start revenge trading. And I've been fortunate to have scaled out of every tilt so far, and then also to have made it through to further payouts after those previous tilts. But I'm damaging myself so much more by not making that right choice of just walking away. So when it comes to that impulse, what I'm realizing for myself is I'm not to a space yet where I have the type of clarity to even take good re-entries per se. So part of my homework going forward this week is the moment I take a loss, I'm walking away. I'm done with the charts. Because I've had good days where I've re-entered and I've been able to scale back and close the day out green. But now what I've realized is and I think this might be my unwillingness to accept losses, is on the days that my reentry doesn't work, those are the days that it tilts. So normally I'll have a loss, I'll re-enter, it makes back the loss and then some, and then I walk away. But what I've realized for myself is the days that I re-enter and then I lose again, that's the moment I start to spiral out because I'm not okay accepting that loss. So for me, this past couple months, my main meditation has been surrender. And I've realized there's only so far on this journey that technical analysis can take us. But then there has to be, and just in my own personal belief system, some type of like innate spiritual growth. There has to be some type of like connection to your higher self, your higher consciousness. And that's going to be, I think, for me, where my next breakthroughs are going to come from, because part of why I think I'm not able to break out of these tilts yet when they happen is I haven't truly surrendered and surrendered to the knowledge I've been taught. And right now my brain is it's been disconnected from my heart, so I need to be able to operate in a space where the impulse to act is coming from my heart and it's driven by the knowledge I've learned. So it's like more a space of wisdom than just trying to force the market, thinking that I can control this environment, because we can't, nobody can control this market. um so yeah, that's what I would say about myself, guys, is just I'm going to be working on revenge trading going forward and understanding those triggers, and then just how to surrender in that moment and say, and what I've, and this is kind of something I've thought of, is like losses are so normal. It's going to happen to all of us. And what I'm seeing from the data is it is extremely profitable to walk away from a small loss than to take a big loss and then try to have to scale your way back up. And so I know that sounds so contradictory to like maybe an average person that doesn't trade or anything, but losses are a normal aspect of life. We all lose in some capacity, shape, or form. But when I think it comes to risk management and risk to reward, is how quickly can we minimize the loss and walk away to come back when we're in a better space. And it doesn't just have to be with PA, but that could be with our emotions. Like if I'm tilting, that was a loss of discipline. That was a loss of emotional control. And so just the sooner I think we can, so for me, it's just about surrender and identifying those triggers sooner so I can keep the losses to a minimum. Because I know that the power of the knowledge we're taught in this community, if we stick to the strategy, if we stick to the edge. And so it's about trading the process over the money, over the emotions, because the really we're working to create a system that we can follow with consistency, because the system does not lie to us. We lie to ourselves all the time, but if we can learn to consistently follow the system, the data will show us itself that we can scale through these losses. um, so yeah, that's kind of something that I've just been focused on myself, and what I struggle with is three for revenge trading.
That was really good, dude.
You should do a podcast, Jordan. I'm sorry, but honestly,
S- I
we
Thank you.
found someone else.
down to do one with you. So I took a few notes on that. Like you said that like surrender yourself, and it's like it's almost like even just surrendering yourself in general, but like surrendering yourself to your plan. Like I feel like you need to trust your plan because I think I've mentioned before, but if you if you take three losses in a row, like you're fine if you're following your plan. If you veer from your plan, three losses in a row is terrible. But like at a 1-to-3 win ratio, like you need to be, if you hold your trades to your stop loss, you hold your trade all the way to your take profit. In order to be profitable with a 1-to-3, you need to be, it's like a 26% win rate, which sounds crazy. And our strategy with Delta Held and Cypress's knowledge and Scalper's knowledge is like our win rates are easily higher than that, but our risk to reward ratios could be like 1-to-10 sometimes. Like if you really think about it, if you're trading a 1-to-5, you need a 17% win rate. So you need to be okay with losses. And I fail for that sometimes. I struggle with taking losses. So I'm really trying to work on that. And another thing you said is you're going to try to walk away, which is really important. What I started doing a while ago is I have like a kitchen timer that I like is if I take a loss, I set my kitchen timer on my computer desk to 15 minutes. But if I go into tilt mode, obviously I don't follow that. But I'm trying to work on that. And then another thing too is when we get angry and if you get into tilt mode, sometimes it's too late. And Jordan, you've been there before. It's too late. You just cannot stop yourself sometimes. So I feel like for everybody, if you do tilt like me, and I know a lot of people do tilt, try to figure out your triggers. Like I noticed the very first thing that if I'm starting to tilt, I notice my heart rate going up. It's like sign number one. My heart rate starts going up, and then I start like clenching my mouse on my and then I start getting like mad. You could just feel it. So I'm trying to step back. Like when I feel that heart rate go up, I try to set my kitchen timer for like 5 minutes, just to calm myself down. Because if my heart rate's up, I know I'm not going to follow my plan.
Yeah, it's the
Um,
body talking. That's a good point.
that's my
You know,
camera.
when we say like knowing yourself is the body sends signal. Because at the end of the day, we're just a high-tech biotechnology machine, right? Full of electricity and magnetism and all that. So it took me ages to be able to notify my body, right? And many times during my trade, I scan my body, and if I feel any tension, even the tension on the mouse, like your hand are crisp, your everything is crisp. My body is telling me, okay, nervous system is activated. You need to breathe out, relax, and then jump back in. Exactly what you said, Jimmy. That's so cool.
100%. Oh, and then one other thing, Jordan, you said is, crap, where's this at? Collect the data. I think collecting the data is probably more important than almost anything. So if you change your plan whatsoever, you need to go back and recollect data again. Like if you're a new trader, you need to collect the data. If you do not collect the data and then jump into a challenge, you're not going to trust your plan whatsoever. And if you don't trust your plan, you're not going to follow your rules. And then if you don't follow your rules, you're going to destroy yourself. So Mark Douglas talks about collecting 30 trades. 30 trades is a pretty good benchmark, but the trades have to be where you followed your plan. So if on that 30 trade sim, if you don't follow your plan once, you need to just start over again because you need to train your body to follow your rules and trust your plan. Because when you trust your plan, you know that in 30 trades, even if you take 10 losses in a row, hypothetically, in 30 trades, you're going to be in profit. If that makes any sense. Like, so collecting your data is like so important. And I think the profitable traders in here would say that's probably one of the most important things. And Jordan's gotten payouts and I'm, you know, whoever else is in here, I'm sure there's a lot of other people that are in the same boat of being profitable. So I highly recommend doing that. Does anybody else have out of these top five issues of not becoming successful they want to put in? Anything that's held them back? Anything that they fixed that made them profitable?
I have one, bro. I hope you're doing well too.
Thanks, man.
On this good weekend. I think for me it was the if then pre-checklist. If you don't have the areas that you like, obviously you're seeing so far within the market covered, from your if then analysis, it's really going to bite you in the butt. And for me, before I would go into the market, not have that covered whatsoever. Think I like, okay, this is what I'm seeing so far. This is direction. Everything is looking good. And then a few losing trades, then tilt account mode. And I think if you don't have that basis, that fundamental basis covered, it's really, really going to kill you long term. And it actually goes into, the data collection portion side of things too, because over time, you're not only going to build your own confidence, but your own belief in your actual trades that you're taking yourself. And I think it really that's where it stems from. I mean, there's other factors too that comes into it, but you don't want to approach these markets unprepared, not know exactly where your areas of interest are, or your take profits or stop loss areas are, because if you do that going into these markets, it's really going to humble you in so many different ways over and over and over again until you actually, accept, okay, I can't just be, taking this willy-nilly type of approach. I actually have to create a game plan for myself, refine the system so that when I go into these markets, even if I lose, I'm like, okay, you know what? I actually followed this plan. I actually followed this if then checklist. What I'm seeing, I just wasn't seeing it properly within that moment, but it could change over time. It could actually improve over time. And I think that's kind of a factor for me. I've had issues before in the past with, and I had to make some changes, serious changes on my end to rectify that for myself.
What do you think the biggest thing is that you changed that helped?
I stopped getting into, these quick trades, bro. Like I've had to change the time frames that I've used. For me, before I was using the seconds, 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, and so forth. And I'm like, okay, you know what, this is not helping. I was successful, using those specifically for myself, but what I've seen before is I would usually FOMO into trades, not read the market properly, going against the trend when the market is like literally telling me don't go against the trend at that given moment in time. Um, and those kind of changes, it really improved my own confidence in the kind of trades that I want to go into and the kind of setups that I actually like to see for myself. And Jordan mentioned it before, it only takes, one setup that you actually like to see that's going to make you profitable, long term. And for me, I didn't even realize, that before. Even when I became profitable, I'm like, yo, okay, this is starting to make a lot more sense now because you don't need to, I mean, obviously it's good to master everything, to give yourself the best possible chance of success, if that makes any sense. But it only takes one specific setup in order for you to be, consistent long term. And for me, that's kind of where I've seen, okay, I need to make a change here, for me, because yes, this works for other people, but it's not going to work, for me, long term, because I'm making the same exact mistakes over and over and over again. You don't want to be someone that's like 5, 10 years deep into the game, doing the same exact things that could have easily been, rectified earlier on, and saved you so much time and money, for you.
100%. Yeah, I think that's big for a lot of people. I notice a lot of people that started becoming profitable, they kind of focus on one setup.
Yeah.
Like it seems like you have your setup. I know Jordan has his setup, Justin has his setup. But as you get better, like even Cypress, like he's, obviously our mentor and one of the better traders in this group, like he trades like pretty much one setup. And then Scalper, he's like basically AI. He doesn't trade that many setups either. He has like, just a few, and he's pulling $100,000 a day out of the market. Like I feel like so many traders, and I like screwed this up for myself for a couple years. Like I would see like, Cypress post wins and I would try to trade like Cypress, or I would see Jordan make wins and I would try to trade like Jordan. Like you have to find your style. Everybody has their style because it's not just based on the charts. It's based on your personality. It's based on your mind, body, and spirit, and your ego. And there's so much that goes into trading just beyond like these candlesticks. See, like I finally figured out a trading style that works for me. And if I stick to the plan and I don't, you know, get tilted, that's my blow up is I'll become fully profitable. Like I've passed 20 challenges, I've blown them all, and mainly to tilt because I was three times one trade away from a payout and tilting them away. And like 2 weeks of work gone in 1 hour multiple times. And I'm trying to really dig deep into my soul and figure out why am I getting mad? And there's no reason. It's not that I need to make money. Like my bills are paid. I have a job and it covers everything. Like it's not that I don't want to get rich. It's just like I think it's more of like proving to myself and proving to I guess my mentors that I can do this. It's a constant battle. But yeah. So,
I was actually seeing this video on social media the other day of like this Goldman Sachs trader saying, trading is simple. Um, it's more of the case of mirroring your actual life to your trading life and making sure it's actually in sync with one another, if that makes sense. Like in trading, it exposes things that we don't typically see in ourselves away from the charts, whatsoever. And I think, as long as we're keeping in sync and making sure that we're, fixing the things within our normal life, it's actually going to be, replicating itself within our trading life and making things a lot more better for us in the quality in itself.
no, that's so true. I noticed for a while, like when my trading was at its worst, and it was I wasn't very habitual with just my life. I wasn't taking care of myself. I was eating like shit. I wasn't exercising as much as I used to. And it's so weird that all of that carries to your trading. It sounds crazy, but like you have to have your entire life in sync to be able to become successful in these markets. But it's like, and another reason I think the reason it is because when you're eating healthy, like and you're exercising, it's like you're being like routine with your life. And if you're not routine with your life, you're not going to be routine with trading. And trading, you have to be in a routine because if you're not in a routine, you're not following your rules. So it's like, I guess it's the circle of trading life right there.
What do you think, Jamie, the biggest factor was for you to find your trading style?
I think it sounds crazy. I think getting sick of screwing up over and over again, like, so what I did is I spent a lot of time back testing and I was like, wait a minute, this works and it's simple. And, but like one thing with me is for a while, I would focus on like so many time frames, so many different things. And I had this, big checklist of rules. And with my personality, I like to keep everything simple. Like I like to keep my life simple. So I like made my trading rules like really small. As odd as that sounds. Like I basically have a setup where it comes into like a 15-minute base. Then I use the EMAs. I wait for them to cross over on a lower time frame with the delta held, then I enter. That's it. It doesn't always work out, but like I mentioned before, even those setups, because you're trading in a 15-minute base, like sometimes they're 1 to 10s. And at a 1 to 5 win to reward ratio, you have to have a 17% win rate. But I'm at this point in time where I have to be okay with taking those 5 losses in a row if I do, because I know if I hold my 1 to 5, I'm back to profit again. But it's just like building that confidence and not letting my ego and anger take over. So for me, the biggest thing was to simplify my plan. So some people like a ton of rules, but when I had a ton of rules, this is what I would do. I would become afraid. I was a fearful trader because I would be like, all right, confluence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are there, but 10's not there. I'm scared. I'm not going to take the trade. And most of the time the trade would have worked, but I was too afraid because my rules were too long. But everything I think based on your personality. So you got to figure out, you know, the delta held pattern. It's a simple setup 1, 2, 3. If you put it at a base, you take your stop loss, put it below the 1. Sometimes they're going to get stopped out, and sometimes it's going to go for a 1 to 20. But you have to, and that's a simple trading plan. But I think that's very important. So you have to figure out what for you, what what is like holding you back. Is it like a fear thing, an anger thing? Is it like overconfidence? So I think you have to figure out what your emotion is, if that makes sense. Like I know I say that a lot, but
Yeah, that does.
Yeah, but
No, it makes
at the
sense
end of
because
the
right
day,
now,
everything is around emotion. So, I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, go
There's
on
a
that. Sorry.
really good book. It's by this guy named Jared Tendler. It's called The Mental Game of Trading. He's not a trader or anything. He's just like this clinical psychologist that like he used to work, he works with like professional athletes and like poker players and stuff like that. And the whole book is about like understanding your emotions regarding to trading. So for the longest time, I thought my emotions were mainly like anger related, but in the beginning it starts out with fear because like I said before, I would be too afraid to take my setups when the confluence was there. I would miss the setup and the setup would have worked and then I get kind of like irritated and then I start, then I FOMO into a trade that's already halfway through the move that I should have caught if I wasn't afraid, and then I FOMO, get stopped out, and then I get tilted. So what I learned in that book is most of my issues stem from fear. So when I simplified my plan, there was like less things to be fearful about because there's less confluences, but there's still profitable confluences. So if I see those 3 confluences, I'm taking the trade. And like this week, it did very well. Like this week, like I was plus. I'm only trading $25,000 accounts as well. That's another thing. Is sorry to get sidetracked. Is like $25,000 accounts. Like the max payout's $1,000, which is not that bad. But if you're copying 5 accounts, that's still $5,000 a payout. But when I was trying to do the $150,000 accounts, getting to that huge profit target it just felt like a feat to me. So I just scaled to the $25,000 accounts because it's on Lucid Trading, it's 1250 to pass. So I trade like 2 micros. So this week I was plus 400, plus 180, and then on Friday I was negative 160. So I have my max loss limit for 160 for the day. So, but I didn't fear on any of those trades. But the thing is, I was kind of irritated on that 160 trade because I caught the bottom of that 600-point move, but it stopped me out by like 3 points. I was so mad. But then, but the thing is, my confluencers are there. I didn't get afraid of the setup, but unfortunately, they just came back for another thing of liquidity and took me out before the big move, which is okay, but because I followed my rules, my simple rules.
And so, is it fear that stopped you re-entering? Because it happens to me. I'm trying to go over that more now or be more patient, but it happens to me a couple times that I get waked out of like 2-3 pip.
Well,
And then, yeah, sorry.
I did re-enter, but it
Okay.
came back. It came back one more time for liquidity. It did it
Nah.
twice.
So why did you not re-enter the third time? Is it
Because
going back to like your emotional breach? Like you breached a level where like what happened for you to know? Because exactly same example, I get waked out 2 times, and the third time was the one, and I miss out on the move, and then you get into I can't FOMO, I can't chase, I can't revenge, and you have the analysis correct. And this is what's the most difficult for me to go over is it's ego, right? But it's when I'm right and the move goes without me. I need to really go out somewhere else otherwise because I would chase it. I can tend to chase it.
I
So
think the reason I didn't enter, because I'm trying to do better at this, like, because my issue long term is tilting and blowing up. Because, okay, let's say I entered again for the third time and it stopped me out. Then I'm probably getting tilted. So then I'm probably not following my rules. So I'm trying to be disciplined with being okay. So at the beginning of the trading day now, I set my rule like, all right, I'm okay with losing $160. So I get like 2 or 3 trades based on I'm just doing like 2 micros. So let's say I entered a third time and now I'm breaking my rules and now I'm down like $220. So now I might try to revenge trade and not follow my rules, and then maybe the fourth trade works out, but sometimes the fourth trade doesn't work out, and then now you're in tilt mode, because once you get to tilt mode, a lot of people, including myself, I just can't control it. Like I'll go up to 5 micros, then 10 micros, then 30 minutes later, well, your account's gone and you have to start over again. So I'm trying to be very disciplined with this 160 loss. It's not even like a lot of money, but since the drawdown on those accounts, 25,000 accounts, is $1,000, I get like 6 straight losing days in a row of 160. That makes sense.
yeah, it gives you room to breathe and
Yeah. So
and to limit tilt. Actually.
yep. And then those $25,000 accounts or 50,000, they're cheaper, and it's just like it's less. It feels like less of a mountain to climb to get to that profit. And if you look at all the numbers, so like a $25,000 account, it's like the take profit is 1,250, the drawdown is 1,000. On a $50,000 account, the take profit to pass is 3,000, but drawdown's 2,000. But then if you start scaling up, I think the $100,000 account's 6,000, but you only get $3,000 drawdown. So if you start to notice that you get way less drawdown ratio to actually passing ratio the higher you scale up. So if you're on like a $300,000 account, I think it's like 6,000 drawdown, but you need like 15,000 to pass. So for me, I just started doing the $25,000 accounts because long term, hypothetically, if I can get the mental maturity to follow my rules, and if I'm copy trading 5 $25,000 accounts and the max payout is 1,000, you could get 2 payouts a month, or even 1 payout. 1 payout a month pays my bills. I don't really care about get rich. I was just, if I could pay my bills and work less, that's cool. So I'm scaling my like mind down to thinking about less about money and thinking about like what will just sustain my life.
Like sustain it to quit your job
Yeah,
kind
like
of
that'd be
thing. And
sweet. Like I'm a nurse, but like healthcare isn't healthcare at all anymore. It's awful. It's like big pharma poison. But yeah, if I could just like if I could quit my job, then I get to stay home with my daughter and stay home with my family. If you're paying your bills and you're with your family, like isn't that winning at life? Like that's the way I look at it anymore. Like someday, and then another thing is like if you can pass $25,000 account and you can consistently get payouts on a $25,000 account, that means you are a profitable trader, you're a consistent trader, and you're following your rules. So you can scale that up. Now that you're full blown confident, now let's do the $100,000 account because you're gonna do well at it because you're consistent already. It's just bigger numbers. Now your max payouts are $3,000, $4,000. So then now you're quitting your job plus a surplus. I mean, every trader like scales up. Like Scalper, I think when I first started talking to him, like I think he was using like six NQ contracts, but now he's using 12. And I talked to him because you see him post wins, he like never loses. So I asked him like, why don't you do like 20 or 25 contracts? And he said that like his psychology can't handle it. Like he's not ready for that yet. And it just takes time to build that up. So he talked about maybe going up to 15 contracts. So, but he's scaling as well. So it's like constantly scaling. But if you're consistent, the numbers do not matter. Like if you're at all.
Because the misconception with trading, and that's what brings a lot of people into trading, which is great, is the want of money, right? And then the more you get into trading, the more you realize that everything goes floor by floor because it's interconnected with your psychology and everything that Jamie talks about. And so you have to face this hard truth that you can't go faster than the music. That's a French expression. Even for the people who go through the 2.0 at the minute, I remember myself, I wanted to go faster than my brain could handle. And that's a misconception, and that's a race of like, I'm trying to achieve something. But I was listening to a podcast today about the white rabbit misconception in trading, where we like a racing dog who is racing after a rabbit, right? And what happened during the race, they always push the rabbit a bit faster for the dog to run faster because they know that as soon as the dog catches the rabbit, then the goal is reached and then the momentum goes down and the human being just thrives for always, then what next, then what next. And so we always need to remember that racing to go to a specific point is not actually what's going to make us fulfilled as trader. It's all those small all those small wins that you accumulate and that you constantly see on a weekly basis. So you have a very slow beginning curve, but it goes like a hockey stick. If you're consistent in this very slow beginning curve of like walking away with just $150 a day or even, I don't know, depend everyone his targets. But if you maintain this very boring, as trading is boring, consistency, this is the key for like leveling up faster, because what tricked us as a trader is we all trying to run faster than we could have, and we end up wasting more time rather than if we were taking our time from the beginning, half of us will be much more further today, right? So embracing all the small steps and really not comparing yourself to everyone, because Cypress itself, maybe he is very aggressive in his behavior and mentality, but he probably has steps that he has to go through as well, right? Like everyone. So I think every small win is very important to be grateful. And what helped me recently as well is watching my portfolio in terms of like percentage and not P&L. And that changed completely the misconception of making money is not interesting to me anymore. It's just a result of my action that matters. So yeah, I get gratitude. I get satisfaction now in acting correctly than having a big P&L, because I know this is going to be at the end of the day what's going to pay me on the trading floor or what's going to keep me running for the next 30 years. So yeah, the race of like making money is a misconception when you start trading. It's something that you need to remove. That took me a very long time to accept.
Yeah, it is very hard to accept. I remember when I first started doing challenges, I was trying to do the biggest challenge, and those are the most expensive challenges. And then you blow them, and then you're like, now I have to make my money back, so I'm going to buy another expensive challenge. And I see a lot of people doing the same thing. Like they're
And
constantly buying $150,000 challenges, but like over and over, and then they try to copy you. And well, you're not even consistent yet on getting a payout on one. So I think
on
one thing
paper
is,
trades, like even
yeah,
and going, sorry to cut you, but just going back to what PT was saying, it goes back to like self-respect and yeah, not leaking your energy left, right, like taking like centered trade, really like aligned with yourself, your environment, your timing. It's not because some people trade the opening that you have to trade the opening. You could get the last move of the day and be more profitable than everyone who is trying to catch all the moves. There is a move for everyone in the day. I mean, yes, it's this race misconception that I think I really want to help people remove.
sure. And another thing too is if you are paper trading, try to paper trade with the same amount of like dollar you would do like on a prop firm or whatever cash you're trading. Don't try to trade with 10, you know, NQ contracts and you're going to see like your trade go up 10,000. And then when you get to your challenge and you're like, I got to make $1,000 trade. No, like if you're going to trade a $50,000 challenge, maybe just sim trade with 5 MNQ just to like try to train your brain to be okay with those like smaller numbers. Like $200 doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're making $200 in 5 straight days, that's $1,000 for a lot of people. $1,000 a week is paying your bills.
And you times that 5 accounts or whatever, if you maxed out Top Step, whatever, that's like $1,000 a day. And in your head, it looks so small because you can see the potential of what trading can bring to you. And that's a trap. Like going back to being humble and humility. Like if I can make $200 in 10 minutes in analyzing my chart for like 10 minutes prior that, and it's time 5 accounts, I made $1,000 in 10 minutes. We just need to, like be realistic, and like trading keeps you completely unrealistic because the money doesn't mean anything anymore when you trade, right? You paid $50 and you can make 10K in 2 minutes. It's money is it's unreal.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Especially if you become a consistent trader following all of your rules, like the skill is priceless because in the long term, as you scale up in 5 years, like you're going to be like scalper where you're just making like 100 grand in a day. And it's like, it doesn't even phase him because he's following his plan because to him, the money doesn't matter, like he makes so much money that why would he even bother to help us? He's helping all of us in this community. The money doesn't matter to him. It's just like that's how good of a person he is. That's how good of a person Cypress is like they don't they don't need to help us,
But does the money really matters to
No,
someone really, or is it the fulfillment that the money brings, you know?
I- yeah,
And so maybe he's maxed up in terms of money, but teaching is a real fulfillment, and that's why the balance in between both is going back to what Jordan was saying, PT, super important. And Scalper finds his balance by doing that, I think.
yeah, I think so too. Because he doesn't care about the money,
Mm,
not at all.
mm, mm.
Like he seems. Does anybody else have any input or anything they would like to bring to the table? Things they're working on, things that they need to improve on to try to make it in this space.
Just something I wanted to share with that real quickly too is the aspect of money. Something that I've been going through is So I think in total it was about 5 payouts. And on the fourth and fifth payout, I messaged Scalper because I didn't feel anything. And in the sense of, I work a decent job, and I just got a promotion there. And between that and the payouts, like it brought the type of ease where it's like I've never really I am excited for the opportunities money can bring down the road, but it's really just something that Cypress used to share with us is like money is just energy, and it's where you choose to put that energy that kind of manifest it in whatever form. And so like these last two payouts, it was like scary because I didn't feel anything. And I was like joking with one of my other close friends who's in 2.0 that maybe it's just because I'm so traumatized from this journey to get here that I didn't feel anything. But what I realized, it made me reflect. And what I think for me, where my fulfillment is at now is because I've already recognized now that down the road, whatever I make, like it's not as important to me as it is. It's like I realize like we're not making money from being traders, but we're making money from being people that are striving to do the right things. And so to me, that's where the value and fulfillment of this journey, like where I shifted my attention to since I had that recognition where I was like, and I'm not balling by any means or anything, but it already was enough to show me like, okay, the payouts are not enough to keep me sustained and fulfilled on this journey. But what I realized was that tenacity to just grow and evolve as a person and to really become a master of this craft, whether it's my job, whatever it is that I'm putting my attention to and my energy, like just to become the most efficient at that, even if it's just a temporary chapter in my life, like that's just sort of kind of the standard that I have for myself. And so I think like you guys were talking about like both where we've had growth once we've learned to well, one, be grateful, but also just don't look at the numbers as much because I think the real growth is gonna reflect in the charts when we're more focused on what does it take to be a person that does the right things. And then Jamie had mentioned earlier, we all have different triggers. We've all got these different tests and different psychologies and environments that we're coming through. And so to me, what it really means to be a trader is just being a person that is focused on understanding yourself very intimately and diving into those areas, like accessing that information that some people are afraid to, because we have to really dig deep to learn what it means to create consistent behaviors that are productive for ourselves. Because even just in general life, like I've done it all the time my entire life, I've sabotaged myself. So there's like a million different ways that we all sabotage ourselves. And so I really wanted to emphasize that if I think if we can just all nurture the flame of that desire to grow and to understand what it means for ourselves individually to do the right things, that's going to reflect in our trading. And so kind of where I'm at in my process is just it's truly this whole chapter right now for me is like because I understand the one setup I want to take time and time again, and it's just psychology and understanding my being. And it's probably been the hardest chapter of this life because it's like conscious pains I'm dealing with. Like in the past, it might have been unconscious or just things I wasn't fully aware of, things that we all sort of go through. But now it's like, okay, I'm ready to be conscious and aware of what are these pains that I'm going through or these tests and difficulties. And then I have there's no other I don't see another option in this life for me because like other than to tackle those challenges because giving up is just not an option. And it's like I can't consign myself to working this job that I have, which for most people is a career for the rest of my life. And um, it's just like because I know that's not what it's going to take to make me happy. And like I know a part of my end goal with this is to give back. It's to pay it forward to the people I love and care about. I was very blessed to be able to go see my mom. She's 78, and that was like one of the most humbling experiences in this recent chapter because I saw how fragile she is, and I like time doesn't wait for anybody. And so to me it's like there's also this weird aspect of, because I felt this like pressure on me this entire journey, like you have to make it happen, you got to take care of your mom, you got to be able to take care of your family, your aunt, all this stuff. It was a fine line where I've also had to learn to create balance. Because that was also putting like this undue anxiety and pressure where I then was trying to force everything around me to try to come into I guess my expectations of how I thought things should be. But I would just say like I think really truthfully, I I think most of us, it's like we all have the capacity to learn this, but I think where the real challenge is going to be is learning who we are as people. And then like knowing that you guys, we all have this community, like feel free to reach out to any of us. Like nobody in here is alone in what we're having to go through. And it's like I think the final chapter for most of us is not going to be the TA, and but that's where data collection is very, very important. Like making sure we're doing the right things to actually collect that data, because you're going to eventually see a point, and this is kind of how Scalper explained it to me, but he said, because I still can't, I still struggle to believe that I'm actually doing this from a disciplined kind of standard that I've always envisioned or wanted myself to be. But what Scalper said is for the majority of us, your data is going to show the results before we've come to believe in ourselves. And so that aspect of collecting data is crucial because then you can actually see over and over and over, okay, when something starts to perform consistently, it's not just luck anymore. It's actual like practice of knowledge, technical expertise. Um, and so for I think what will also help is kind of understanding what you're doing this for, like creating clarity, because there's some of us that might be very new to this journey in this call, some of us that might be very experienced at this point or been in it for a long time. But one thing that's helped me ultimately through this whole journey is understanding the reason for why I'm doing it. And and that's where going back to these last payouts was like kind of eye-opening, because it's like, okay, for a long time I had kind of like this little goal of like, okay, I need to get to a payout. But then you get to the payout and then you're like, oh, that didn't feel like much. Now what? And so I would just I would say what I think helped me and I think can help everybody, because there's times we're gonna hit despair. Like I've hit despair and hopelessness so many times, like with intensity, where it's I think the longest I took a break was like a month and a half where I was like, okay, I can't do this. Like I think I put my time into something that couldn't be done, but the fire was still there, and I stayed engaged with the community. That was important, I think, for me, was even though I wasn't trading, I was still talking to people in the community. I was keeping my eye on things. And so keeping ourselves surrounded by the people that understand what we're going through, and then also finding that reason for why you're doing this, that and so that because we have this psychology aspect, but there's also the aspect of perseverance, fortitude, never giving up. Um, and those things I think are also going to be important for those of us that we are trying to figure out ourselves in relation to the market. And so that's kind of what's been helping me in this chapter of my journey is, and like Jamie had said earlier, is like I get so tired of bringing pain upon myself that it gets exhausting. And finally you just hit a point where it's like, I'm done doing this. I can't keep causing this pain because it hurts more after a while to know what the right thing to do is, but then you do the wrong thing anyways. And now you're suffering from that pain of it wasn't just like you didn't know, but now you're suffering from the pain of you, in a way, consciously brought the suffering upon yourself. And then you're beating yourself up, you're feeling guilt, shame, just any number of these emotions. And so, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but it's just like something that's helping me through this part of my process is just understanding the reasons for why I'm doing this and then focusing a lot more on, I just want to be a person that does the right things. And I know that if I can do that, that will organically bring the results of being profitable, being disciplined, and not causing like pain upon myself because I can deal with a loss that I followed the edge. It's just even in those moments I tilt, that's the moment where I slipped into bringing pain upon myself because I took the first setup with the edge and then the rest weren't. And then now I'm back in that spiral again, you know, so just something I wanted to share as well.
And the thing with tilt for me is like it's not that it never happens now, but because like Jordan said, a lot of self-awareness and meditating on it, when it happens, I have a bit more and more action and control on it, and I'm able to limit the tilt more and more. And the goal is not in one day to stop tilting because it takes time to change habit, right? But it's to be able to catch yourself and really observe it and catch yourself in it. And the goal is to do it with a bigger time, how to say, I think you understand what I mean, like with a bigger time difference every time and with time it would be erased, but is to be able to really like catch yourself. And when you see yourself tilting, it's, we know we shouldn't, but it's really have the discipline to, I don't know what gesture could be, like close your laptop or whatever, something, stand up, or but really like cutting this energy in motion, this emotion to create a new input in you, kind of.
Well said.
Yeah, just take a step back and reanalyze everything. Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. That was really good endpoint. I think
But
it's
it's,
been a great call. Like
How do you go through and when you tilt, accept that it's your fault? Because I don't went through tilt a couple times, and especially when somebody gives me a phone call because I'm trading on the phone or on my computer because everything's connected, and it take over my whole screen, so it shoots up and I just close it out because I'm in the red. So accepting that it's my fault that I did that.
yeah, that's really good. I think a lot of people suffer. They like blame other people. They blame the markets. Like whatever happens in these markets, it is 100% your fault. Well said, man. Oh,
I was something I was gonna share too, because I know we've been on this call for a little bit of time, is uh, Jamie, Camille, and I had kind of come up with some quotes, and uh, maybe before. Oh, what you had a question, Camille?
yeah, there's someone in the community who reached out to me, and I wanted you personally to put your input on that about your ability to be able to trade on the Asia session, right? And there is a huge psychology about this because the entire group, right, trade New York. So there is an intense FOMO, intense feel of like doing the wrong thing, intense like inner consideration of like Asia is not something that's gonna make you profitable, And I want to be able, if you can, I would like you to be able to quickly debunk this ideology of I can't be a good trader during Asia, and kind of like what's the different 2-3 points that Asia has specifically compared to New York that maybe could help this
Oh,
person.
yeah, so I'll just start by saying like 99% of my trades for all 5 payouts have been Asia. There's only been a few times that I've been able to actually trade New York, and I used to try to trade it a lot. Like I think it was Kelvin that was just talking, but I too trade from my phone a lot of the time. However, when I'm in Asia session, I use order flow or my laptop. I have like my trade set up. But I think one of the beautiful things I've realized about Asia is there's less manipulation. Because during New York, you get the fundamentals, you get market open, and that tends to be the time that Trump makes a lot of his tweets. And so for Asia, it's actually a lot simpler to catch a trending trade because usually New York will pass off to Asia, whatever the direction is that they were trending. And as long as Trump doesn't come out with the tweet later in the evening, it's actually, I think it's easier actually. Now, the thing is you really have to learn on being patient. You have to like I'll put it this way, like I trade a lot less. There tends to be a lot of opportunities in New York and it can be faster. But the beautiful thing about trading with the edge and patience, which patience and learning to wait for those moment of clarities have been like one of my biggest focuses. You can still scale, like that the 6.5K I made came from like 1 to 4 trades a week in Asia session. And then the other beautiful thing is once you really understand your edge, you can actually leverage more in Asia. And the reason I say that is because for the same pattern, it'll only be a 7 to 10 point stop loss, whereas in New York, it's like a 40 point stop loss. For the like, let's just say you take a delta held, you want to put your stop loss above the sweep because that's the base that shouldn't get broken from manipulation. That can be up to like 40 points in New York, but in Asia, it's like 10, 15 points. And so as long as you're sticking to the edge and this is where Asia has actually helped me evolve as a trader is I had to learn to become patient. And then I had to understand my edge. Like I had to really learn what it meant to stick to that strategy so that over time, the risk to reward could play out and it's calmer. And yeah, don't get me wrong, like I know a lot of people joke, and even I used to joke about it, like, oh, I'll see you all in the morning when this trade finishes. But it's calmer, it's easier to catch a trend, a certain direction. And once you learn to like for me, it helps me learn to be okay not to trade all the time. And like even with the FOMO, like because I there's so many times I open up New York when I'm at work and I see like the most beautiful setups play out. But then I have to learn to sit on my hands and like as Jesse Livermore says, patient observation is the highest form of yield in this game of longevity, which is something you had mentioned earlier, Camille, is like we're learning to do this over the course of a long time. We don't need to make all that we're trying to make in a condensed, narrow time, because that's when I think that we start to make mistakes. We start to push certain expectations. And actually, just recently, I shared that truthfully, in all honesty, I'm truly considering just moving to being a full-time Asia trader. And I'm completely okay with that. And that's even if New York were to ever open up for me. It's just like I love how simple Asia is. It's less volatile, it's less manipulative, and it's if you can just learn to be patient, that's the thing. Because there are nights where I can't even take a trade because it either chops the entire session or they in the beginning of the session they like to create like what I call like the opening range. So they'll do a nice big push, but then they'll just range base to base the rest of the session. And if you don't get in one of those earlier pushes, the ranges just get smaller and smaller until the next breakout. But I think it kind of just goes back to understanding who we are as traders, and you can make any session work, like London, Asia, New York. It's just figuring out what works for you. And so I wouldn't let trading Asia dishearten anybody. Like when I first started trading Asia and just accepting that that's where I can have full concentration, I was pretty disheartened because I saw everybody killing it in New York session, and it kind of felt like my journey was coming to a halt because I was dealing with this resistance of it was my perception. I had created this perception that Asia was horrible, and I didn't. And but once I started interpreting the data of the session itself, I realized that it was only my mentality that made Asia session horrible. And so you just kind of that goes back to surrender. So like once you are able to surrender and understand the reality, because like I was sharing earlier, just giving up is not an option for me. And so I actually had no choice in the beginning. I had to learn to understand Asia, and it helped me grow. Like because of Asia, I've learned to develop the patience that I have and to be okay with not trading every day, or to be okay with 15 points and then get out of a trade because maybe the take profits are only 15, 20, 25 points versus 60, 80 points in New York. Like to me, it's not about how many points I catch anymore, how much money I made off the trade. It's did I take a good trade? If it was a delta held setup and I took the trade and I hit TP1, that's a beautiful trade, whether it was 20 points because it was Asia session or 60 because it was New York. And so I just started to, I guess it's like, it's really just the understanding your mentality. And then also that there are opportunities in every session of this market, and just don't allow other people's opinions to influence who you are as a trader. You know?
Well said, man. Do
Beautiful.
you want to, Jordan, do you want to tie up the Zoom call with the challenge for the week with the Jesse Livermore quotes? Because I got to get ready to go
Yeah,
feed my daughter.
She's
yeah.
beautiful.
So
Thank you.
what we thought would be a good idea for everybody that's in this Zoom call is we kind of came up with a few quotes. And feel free if any of them resonate with any of you guys, what we were hoping to do is we all take the one quote that resonates with us, and then we just meditate on it throughout the week. It could be in your actual life, it could be with trading, and then just kind of come back to the next call next week and kind of share the data of how any one of these particular quotes maybe it helped you in some way in your process of what you were going through. Um, so I guess what I can do real quick is I'll drop I guess maybe in the chat I'll just
So Jamie
or do we
posted it
have
in
the
the chat
Canva? We have
already.
the Canva.
Jamie posted it in the chat, and yeah, I
Okay,
can
let's
post
see.
it maybe in a. Where do you want to put it?
You can put the video
Do
in
you
there
want to
too
just
if you want, Jordan.
You can drop it in MC chat or Golden Dawn or whatever. You can use mine. I don't mind.
oh yeah, for sure. Okay, we'll how about we just drop it in Golden Dawn, guys, and then when you guys get a moment, just read through a few of the quotes, and then and the reason I was thinking this could be a good idea is because something that's helped me is when I'm meditating on something throughout the week and I get triggered, because I've made that meditation a focus, it kind of creates just like a little moment of clarity. Like if I'm meditating on what does it mean for patient observation to be the highest form of yield, and then I find myself feeling that impulse and I'm feeling triggered to want to trade outside of clarity, that meditation will pop up in my head and I'll be like, okay, I don't think this is patient observation. Um, how about we do that then? Just share it in Golden Dawn as well.
I think I just did. It's yeah. Jamie put it in the chat on the Zoom, and it's on the Golden Dawn as well.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, if hopefully we can see everybody here next week, and you guys could possibly share, if any of these quotes that we put down resonated with you guys and kind of what you guys went through this week.
Like that idea, man.
Brilliant. Yeah, I love it.
So yeah, I think today was a very good Zoom call. Hopefully others enjoyed, and we'll try to come back in 2 weeks. And I think next Sunday is the study session call.
Yeah,
Oh,
correct.
okay. So maybe
Yeah, so
2 weeks.
yeah, the psychology calls are every other week, and then the study session, so it's next week. So I hope everybody has a blessed rest of your Sunday, and then let's have a good trading week, everybody.
Let's
Yeah,
smash
thank you.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, see you
Yeah,
later.
thanks a lot, guys. We appreciate you sharing everything. Awesome.
You're welcome. We'll rise up together.
Let's go.
Ciao, guys.
See ya.
Yeah.